Serious, what are some scary, horrifying, creepy things that have happened to you, or in general, that could have a plausible explanation, but still freak you out? One time I was having beers with my friends at one of their houses. We were sat at a table that fits about 16 people. We were a large group, and I was sat at the far end, and one of my friends all the way across the table. I then jokingly crumbled up a bit of label from my beer bottle to a ball the size of a pea, and said I could throw it in my friend's beer bottle for €1,000,000 from the other side of the table. We were drunk and playing games. I fucking mad the shot. I have no idea how I did it. I didn't even aim. I just picked up the ball of paper and immediately threw it in one swift motion over a distance of about 6 to 7 meters inside the small opening of his beer bottle. I never understood how I did that, and find it very creepy. He still owes me $1 million. It was around 2 to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was in my village home for the holidays. I went outside to the pond to go for a swim. I remember being told to never go there alone, but didn't listen. After going about it for a bit I got really tired and decided it was enough. I went back up out of the pond and saw my sandals were floating very close by on the surface of the water. Though I had it in me to push out a few more drops of energy and decided to jump back in to get my sandals. Note, there was still no one around at the time. I had both of them in my hands and tried to waddle my way back since I was extremely exhausted. I started to realize that I wasn't getting out anytime soon with both sandals in my hands and let go of both of them. I tried to scramble out and got really close to the steps that leads out, but couldn't make it. I wanted to live, that's all I could think of at that moment. I panicked and splashed, but couldn't make it in time. I started to drown. I knew that I'd pushed myself too far, and though I was only a few steps away from the stairs, couldn't muster the energy to go forward. I was completely underwater now, and water going into my lungs. So I just let go. I thought to myself, this is my moment, this is my time. I stopped struggling and accepted I was going to die, and at that moment, I somehow floated back to the top. I saw my chance and took those last few steps and finally got out. I figure that, since I relaxed my body, I was able to float back up, but the experience still haunts me because it was only because at that time I decided to give in and die that I'm still alive today. Eating a PB+J. Something crunches. It was creamy peanut butter. A few days later, my dentist tells me that my fillings fell out. Took me years to be willing to eat a PB+J again. The day my brother died, the home phone at my parents' house rang at about 2 p.m. and a horrible feeling of dread came over me. I knew that I needed to answer the phone before my mother did. I answered it, and it was the local hospital calling to tell us that my 29-year-old brother was there and in cardiac arrest. I knew that this meant that he was dead, and if we wanted to see him, we would need to go to the hospital right away. So I told them we would come right away and got the information very quietly and then had to go tell my mom and dad that their son had just had a massive heart attack and they haven't been able to revive him and we need to go to the hospital right away. I have no idea how I knew that something very bad had happened, but I knew as I was walking to the phone that it was about my brother and that I needed to be the one to answer the phone. I suffer from acid reflux. I was in my 20s, asleep with a bottle of some antacid or other by my bed. I woke up with my gut on fire, so I sat up and opened the bottle. When the liquid hit my lips I got a fucking shock. I slammed the bottle down on the bedside table and a drop of the stuff ran down the side of the bottle and it actually crackled. It was the strangest thing I have ever experienced. One time when I was younger I was in my bedroom reading or something quiet. My mom was at work, and I thought my dad and brother were home. They were home all day, and hadn't told me about any plans to go anywhere. Suddenly I hear very clearly my father call me by my middle name as to get me to go over somewhere. So I go out of my room, and I check his room, both bathrooms, my brother's room, the family room, living room, kitchen, pantry, and out front, and out back as sometime, when he's doing a project he'll need my help handing him tools, or holding something for him. I couldn't find him anywhere, and I knew I heard my name. So I called him on the phone. Me, hey you called me? Dad, no sorry must have been a butt dial. Me, no like you called me name did you need something? Dad, what? Obviously annoyed because he was doing something. Me, where are you? Dad, your brother and I left about 2 hours ago to go run some errands. Be back in like an hour with lunch. Bye. He hung up on me, and now I'm completely aware that I'm standing in my living room in a house with no one else in it but my old dog who only sleeps now, and I just heard someone clear as day call me by my middle name, a name that only my family knows because I don't tell anyone my middle name. I ran back to my room and stayed there. I know I was probably just hearing things, but it still creeps me out to this day, and I hate being in my parents' house alone. My family owns an AFC home for developmentally disabled adults. My family sleeps on the first level of the house and the residents sleep on the second level above us. Ever since I was a little girl, I would always wake up every single night at around 3 AM to the sound of furniture being dragged around on the floor above me. Like really heavy sounding furniture dragging in odd patterns. Of course it freaked me out when I was younger, but as I got a bit older I just assumed one of the residents was just moving their chair around, maybe due to OCD or something. I wrote it off. Anyways, flash forward, I'm 17 years old, and one of our residents moves out. So a bedroom way bigger than mine opens up upstairs. My current bedroom was a small office space, barely big enough to fit my bed, so clearly I jump on the opportunity to move upstairs. I'm excited as fuck and settle into my new room for the first night. Then I wake up at 3 AM to the sound of heavy furniture being dragged around on the floor above me, and I'm on the second floor. The sound was coming from our attic. My house is infamous among friends and family members for being haunted. There's so many stories I could tell. This one just really irks me because our attic is the scariest place I've ever seen, and sometimes I swear someone is living up there. When I was a kid I often dreamed about future events. Nothing big, nothing specific, so I never actually believed that I'd be able to see the future, but I'd bring it up in conversations here and there. It happened one last time, and then never again. I had a dream that I was walking home to my mother after visiting my father's. I had to walk through a really creepy Halloweenish district which doesn't exist in reality. I liked it because I love Halloween and stopped at a shop window to look at the bags and clothes. Suddenly someone greets me from above and introduced himself as Mr. Tom. I raise my head and I see a guy dressed in a black suit and toffet, long black wavy hair, black around the eyes, face painted white. He has a monkey tail and fur on his hands and toes. He's sitting on a flagpole, looking down on me and laughing, loudly saying, "Come in, come in. Little girl, don't hesitate, don't be shy, and take the chance. Come in and see." And something made me walk in, even if I'm very suspicious. The door closes behind me, and the lights went out. I can only feel grass around me, and the air starts to get cold and windy. I hear laughter. I hear monkeys. I hear big cats. Suddenly a flash of light appears in front of me, and another guy with suit and toffet appears in the grassy area filled with light. He has short blonde hair. He's telling me to not be afraid, but to have fun, and I'm trying to talk and explain that I'm a little scared and confused, but no sound comes out of my mouth. The light starts to get brighter, and I see lots of creepy clown faces, and tigers jumping around, monkeys screaming and laughing, and I'm getting dizzy. Everything turns around me, and I black out, just to wake up in my bed. I went to school that day, totally forgot about that dream. I went to lunch, got my dessert, and was shocked when I looked closer at it. It was a Mr. Tom candy bar I've never seen in my life before. I've never known about the existence of it. Please Google it and look at the packaging. There are clowns and monkeys and tigers on it. To this day I guess I actually might have seen it somewhere, but it still creeps me out that we got it as dessert the next day at school. What a coincidence. I thought Mr. Tom was coming to get me and was scared to sleep for at least a week. Never dreamed about future events again. In 2014 I was living in Southern California in a 2-bedroom apartment that was on the 2nd floor. Both my husband and I are Marines, but he was out on a boat for a few weeks, so I was home alone with our 2 cats. One night at around 1 AM, I'm woken by my cats doing that scared cat noise. You know, that high-pitched scream that is just unsettling. I open my eyes and look to the foot of my bed where my cats sleep. They are both leaned to the right of the bed and hissing towards the left of the bed. I follow their eyes and see this enormous shadowy figure kinda just lurking at the corner of my bed. This freaks me the fuck out, and I immediately hop out of bed on the far side away from whatever that is. It takes me less than a second to leap out of bed, but when I turn to fight it's gone. My cats are now in my bedroom doorway searching for it. I work up the courage to go investigate and discover that whatever was in my home is now gone. Needless to say, I didn't go back to sleep that night and my cats stood guard at my bedroom door for the next few nights. Now the plausible explanation. I kept the balcony door slightly open for my cats to go use their litter box. It rarely rains in SoCal and the weather is wonderful 24/7. It very well could have been an animal, but what animal is brave enough to go into a bedroom where they can smell other cats and a human? The shadow itself seemed large, but like it was crouching at the corner of my bed, just peeking up. It could have been a human, but I would have heard it run away considering how quick it disappeared. To this day, I have no idea what was in my room and it freaks me out.